Okay, we're going to be introducing a new segment. It's about UFC and other MMA organizations. This is another sport I'm not so familiar with. I do watch Ultimate Fighter and Fight Night on Spike. However, Fan of the Flame Sports does have a resident expert, Martin Deville, our own MMA analyst, who will be keeping us informed on one of the fastest growing sports. Hi Marty.
How you doing, Tammy?
Good.
Good to see you.
So glad you're here. Let's go ahead and start with the first question that everybody wants to know is how did you get involved in MMA?
When I was a kid, my dad had this special little box that you got free pay-per-view on. And we were just flipping around the channels and we saw these two big guys just beating each other up kind of a thing. And we're, oh, you know, what's going on with this? And it was the old Rolling Down Wolf days, walking around with one boxing glove on. And we thought it was pretty cool, but it was still more in the barbaric stages, so I wasn't completely sold on it. Years later, I was at a poker game with a couple of my friends, and I met a gentleman who had some focus mitts on him. And I asked him if he fought, and he said, yeah. And I was like, you know, do you mind if I tag along with you next time? And he was all for it. He's like, yeah, you know, I train over here. And I didn't think he thought I was going to show up, because once I got there, he was like, oh, this guy's actually here. And ever since then, I just fallen in love with the sport. I got beat up by some kid that was about 50 pounds less than me. And I was thinking to myself, whatever this kid knows is what I want to know. So.
That's awesome. Okay, now my next question is, if you're a beginner or a new fan of the sport, where's the best place to learn the basics?
There's a couple of good places. If you were to go to a place like Budo Videos, or if you wanted to go online, you know, do some research, you can even YouTube a lot of instruction. If you're looking to start training with people, you want to go to, like, you can go to like websites and look up different MMA spots. There's a lot of good coaches, especially here in Southern California. CSW with Eric Paulson is really high level. You got New Breed, you got, you know, your sub fighter. Actually, right now there's another new camp that just opened up, California Combat Club with Danny Suarez. He just moved up from Laguna Niguel. And then if you're more South County, you go to Club or Team Rain, which is Mark Munoz and a lot of other really high quality fighters.
Wow, so the sport's growing.
Yes, it's growing tremendously fast.
How does somebody become professional?
Well, a valid professional or somebody that is going to survive in this sport, you do need to train for years. Typically, you want to have some kind of a big background. It's a lot of dedication. Anybody can show up and actually fight and be considered a professional. A lot of these King of the Cage cards, they'll put on 20 to 30 fights. A lot of the guys that fight on those cards, though, don't really have any experience. They're just $200 short on rent, so they decided to show up for the weekend. I wouldn't suggest them going in with somebody trained at a place, you know, like one of those aforementioned spots that I talked about, as, you know, there's a good chance they'll wind up getting hurt by some of these guys.
Okay. What fighters are coming up that are must-watch events? What can you share with us to be looking for?
Actually, this weekend there are some really good fights, and they're free. UFC is putting on a free live card. The main event is Dominic Cruz against Demetrius Johnson. Dominic Cruz has been dominating everyone. His sole loss came to Uriah Faber a few years back, which he just avenged. I mean, he dispatched to him pretty well. You know, he also took on Joseph Benavidez and Brian Bowles, which those guys are all very high quality fighters. Not to take anything away from Demetrius Johnson, he is 9-1. He's a very good and likable guy. He beat Kid Yamamoto. He beat Miguel Torres. I'm sorry, but this is really going to be a different type of test for him. Dominic Cruz is a very good ground game. He's good anti-wrestling, and he's also got incredible striking. He never gets tired. He doesn't fade, so he's got his hands full. Other than that, I mean, Stephen Struve's fighting Pat Barry. I think this fight is more about Pat Barry. Stephen Struve, he's at a point in his career where he's still kind of a gatekeeper to people that are under the main card, but their names really haven't been released. And Struve, for whatever reason, Europeans love him and Americans really are taking to him as well. So this is going to be a fight for Perry to prove that, you know, he can manage a well-rounded fighter. As in the past, you know, he's beaten people like Beltran and Hardon, who were kind of one-dimensional, but guys that really do everything, put everything together, like Czech Congo and Mirko Krokop, you know, those guys are well-rounded fighters, and he hasn't been able to figure those people out. So this is going to be kind of like his test. The biggest fight that I'm looking forward to this weekend is another fight on the other card. It's Anthony Johnson against Charlie Brenneman. That fight is going to be awesome. I don't know how much everybody knows about Charlie Brenneman. He's kind of a no-name. He came in off of, I believe it was about 3 weeks notice to beat Rick Story. And everybody knows Rick Story. Rick Story is an amazing talent. He's a super well-rounded fighter. Brenneman came in, dominated his wrestling, out-cardioed him, and just looked amazing. I mean, this fight is going to be, you know, off the wall. And Anthony Johnson, you know, he's been beating people up, like Dan Hardy, he beat Yoshiyuki Yoshida.
Yep.
But the last explosive wrestler that he's faced, like Charlie Brenneman, was Josh Koscheck, who just weared him out and got him tired. And this guy cuts 20, 25 pounds for a fight. He walks close to 200 pounds when he's not training. Dropping all that weight, he hasn't been able to keep up with like the hardcore cardio guys, and that's what Brenneman is. Brenneman's just got cardio for days. So I think this is more or less Dana testing him to see if he's ready to go to that next level of cardio and like superiority in MMA.
What channels? Where can you find
I believe this
fight?
one's going to be on. I think this one's going to be on Versus.
Okay.
If it's not on Versus, it's on Spike. But yeah, it's going to be a free fight. I believe the fight starts at 7 o'clock.
Are they all in one fight card?
They are going to be on one fight card. All three of those fights are going to be main card. A lot of the people on the undercard are going to be there, but it's not. You're not a guaranteed show. There's 2 other fights that are airing, but those are the ones of real interest right now.
Awesome. Thank you, Marty, so much. I can't wait to have you back. You were fantastic.
No problem. Thank you for your time.
Thanks.